We're back again, podcast number 5, Fox. Topic is religion. So, I would say, I grew up with in religion. We went to church every old school before I got to high school. Really,
But going from where you were to where you are now, what's the difference?
Where I am now. Difference is, I believe in a higher power.
Okay. What does that mean to you? What is a higher power?
There's someone all above us. Because I'm not gonna say I believe in the Big Bang theory or the ape theory that we all came from apes. So there has to be something above us that made us. That's why we're here now. Let me ask you this: what do you think? Like, how do you think we got here as a race?
So
A race of
I
beings.
think it's interesting that people in these kind of conversations usually go either the scientific route or the religious route. They don't understand that they actually work in hand with each other.
Okay.
My belief is that science is the way that we interpret what God created. Like, I'm a Christian. I believe that Jesus Christ came to earth as the living embodiment of God and was the only person to ever live a perfect life so that he could come and sacrifice his life and die for our sins. And not just the sins that we had committed prior to the death, but all sins moving forward. I believe that the Bible is the Word of God. I think that it's a living text. I think that it comes through into multiple scenarios in our life. And I think that it's something that isn't outdated. It can't ever be outdated. I think that it's not necessarily something to be taken 100% literally. I think that there are
It got lower again. Nothing with your phone. Call me right back.
I think that the Bible is something that people use to try to put God in a box. Be able to justify and understand something that is not necessarily justifiable or understandable. So, when people try to use scripture like, oh, do you believe that God really created rested on the seventh day. It's like, well, yeah, because that's what the word says, but what you're not getting is who is to say the length of time or what a day is for a being where time means nothing.
So you're saying it could have took longer hour actually?
Yeah, I think that a day to God may be like 1,000 years or 100,000 years or 1,000,000 years. Like, who's to say the amount of time? Like that is us trying to put constraints on an all-powerful God, and having an all-powerful God would specifically mean you can't be constrained, because anything that we can comprehend, he would exceed anyone's.
So do you think God does everything for a reason? As in, like, all these people dying, babies getting killed. Hello, I'm doing good, how are you? Talk about dinner. But I'm saying, because people say this all the time, like, why would God, hire?
Nobody said God did.
Controls it. I mean, of course, you all can't be immortal. Horrendous things that happen.
Well, let me
I'm doing good.
counter that point with this point. For somebody to lose a child is completely and totally, like, unbearable, right? What happened to Jesus?
I have to get first. What allegedly happened? We're just reading the book that someone wrote.
No, it's not just in the Bible. It's in multiple historical documents that Christ lived and died on the cross. And there are documents of his resurrection also. And the thing that a lot of atheists try to go to, I'm not saying that you are atheist, but I'm saying that these arguments usually come from someone who is atheist, is that, well, how do we know? We have no proof. It's like, well, back in that time frame, there was no proof. Like, the only proof that you had was historical documentation.
Hold on, 1 second, real quick. Yeah, I do play other games besides DVD. Horror game, I think that would be it. Yeah, so I just say Texas.
Is somebody in your chat?
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that Outlast is one of the best horror games. I heard Outlast too. But getting back to topic, you chat religion right now. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying too. Like going back. That's what I think that's the part I'm at. It's like, where is this proof?
Well, how do you live with 100% proof for anything? Like, that's impossible. how do you know 100% proof that anytime you walk out of your house that you're going to be okay? You would never be able to make any decision or any actual thought process
But that's different.
based on 100% proof. Like, with that being the case, it's like, okay, so anything from historical documentation from ancient history, like Alexander, the Greeks, anything that happened back then, how can you believe any of that stuff happened either?
I'm saying I do. That's the thing, though, but you're conflating the thing. You saying, how do we know if we walk outside of... That's something totally different. We're talking about a religion.
No, it's the same property of the fact that if it's a belief...
How?
If you make decisions every day solely on the basis of having 100% guaranteed proof that everything is going to work out the way it is, like, if you choose not to believe in something just because you don't have 100% proof, then you would never choose anything. Because there's no 100% factual proof for anything. There's no 100% certainty of anything in this life.
Anytime there are still facts.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Historical text, historical documentation is considered, or were considered, facts of those eras.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. Who wrote it then?
Wrote what?
Who wrote the Bible? How many times have the Bible been revised, written, done over, stuff added?
The Bible was written by like 46 different people.
Exactly.
And they're all saying...
That's 46 different truths.
But it's not. Because if you actually read through the entirety of the Bible, it all builds upon itself. Like, it all tells the same thing. Like, prophecies in one book written by somebody hundreds of years before the New Testament was written came to pass based on the New Testament from those prophecies that happened hundreds of years back.
I get what you're trying. Like I told you before on the earlier podcast, I deal with facts. Yeah, I understand repeating words. That's not because I put it to you like this.
That just depends on what your threshold for what has to be for a fact. Because like I said, it's the same kind of issue where it is accepted as fact for any kind of ancient culture that the written text was taken directly from people of that era, and that is considered to be factual of those civilizations. And it's literally just based on ancient writings. Because we don't have a time machine. We don't have these things. And the other part about it too is we have like the ability to go to a lot of these places and see a lot of these places now still to this day and find things that coincide with scripture.
Olivia, hit the follow button if you haven't already.
They were able to find the tomb that Christ was buried in. And the fact that a rock or a boulder the size that should have been, that was pushed in front of that like tomb, should have still been there. Correct. And they've even recently, apparently, this I haven't fact checked, so I don't know, I'm going based off of what I've heard, but apparently at Golgotha, which is the mountain or the hilltop where Christ was crucified, they have found living blood. Like, they found blood that isn't like congealed and like old, but it's also been carbon dated from back when Christ was supposed to be the blood of Christ is still there. So again, it's how willful do you want to be in ignoring what most people consider to be factual?
That's what it
just
goes.
because you yourself have not blatantly seen Christ come down in front of you with the holes in his hands.
So it's.
You don't want to believe it.
Yeah. So it's just basically just going off faith.
Oh, yeah, but that's the whole point. The part of being a Christian, the part of being a Christ follower, and I don't want to say the part of being religious, because I don't conflate religion with being a Christian. Because I think that certain things of certain religions, like the Catholic Church, that they have kind of bastardized Christ's message, and they've changed it to try to suit themselves, to be able to put themselves in a position of authority. I do not believe in religion. I believe in following Christ. Like, I don't follow religion. I follow the teachings of Jesus.
So,
Christ himself actually, of the time period, challenged the church. Like, one of the reasons he was crucified is because he went against the church. So,
yeah. I get it. I'm just saying, I don't believe everything.
well, let me ask you this. What do you believe from the Bible?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I believe anything from the and fact. But I do believe, because we we didn't make ourselves. Something higher did this. I can't say I fully believe anything. Like you said, 42 people put stuff. I think it's gonna be put on. And you can just keep adding sounds and keep adding it.
What do you mean sounds amazing? A lot of the teachings in the Bible are not amazing teachings. Like, it's hard. And it's hard to follow. Like, it's not easy.
I'm just saying, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I have not read the but Jesus all sounds amazing. Obviously, because we've never seen nobody now do any of that stuff according to wine.
Yeah, why is that? Well, again, believing that Christ is the physical human embodiment of God. That he was God in flesh. So he had the authority over this world that God has over existence, which is why he was able to conduct the miracles.
All right. So we keep. Well, I don't know what to say. Keep hearing, but every so couple of years, We always hear about Jesus.
Right.
Why? Why
What do you
haven't
mean?
we
Why?
seen? Okay, let me put it to you like this: why haven't we seen something amazing like that since then? All this stuff that Jesus did, why have we not since then?
Because he hasn't come back yet.
Okay, why hasn't he come?
Because the time isn't right.
When?
It says,
Okay.
"Sure, the man knows the date or the time," and there was even a parable that talks about it. It's about 12 women who were supposed to be ready for a wedding, and the man for the wedding came in the middle of the night. And it speaks of 6 women who were prepared and had extra oil for their lantern. So they were able to continue to wait. So when the time came, they were able to find their way to the wedding. And the other 6 were not prepared, and they weren't allowed into the wedding because they didn't have enough oil to burn to be able to get there. But they were late. And essentially what that's speaking of is the end of times. It's like we don't know when things are going to end. Even though, as of right now, a lot of things that happened or have happened recently is starting to line up with scripture for the book of Revelation.
Understandable. I heard this all before.
Okay.
Pursue. Put it for this.
Right. But again, this is you trying to put restrictions and mandates on a God.
No, I'm just going off what people have been saying for years, decades.
Yeah. Essentially, what it goes to what I'm trying to talk about is the fact that this has been brought up and talked about for so long because it is meant to prepare you for when it does happen. Like, it may be a circumstance where it doesn't happen in our lifetime, but that doesn't mean that we should not prepare ourselves and be ready for it. That's like saying, I live in Florida. So in Florida, we have hurricanes. It's like there's talk during hurricane season, okay, there could be a hurricane coming. You need to be prepared for the hurricane. You need to make sure you have supplies. You need to make sure that your car is put in the garage. You need to make sure you don't have any loose furniture outside. You need to make sure you have all of these things taken care of in the event that a storm comes. And it's like, yeah, you know what? We haven't had storms the last couple of years. You know what? I don't even know if hurricanes are really even a thing anymore because we haven't really had a big major storm.
But you see, the difference is with that. That's factual stuff that has happened, and we've seen it. We haven't seen.
But what I'm saying is the only reason we haven't seen it is because the Bible happened prior to our lifetime. That's like you saying, well, you know what? I don't believe that Genghis Khan was a conqueror of the world and is as bad as people say he is, because you know what? I have no proof of that.
I can go back to I'll go back to Hitler. We have proof of.
Yeah, because we, at that point, is right along the times that technology started having video recordings. Of course you're going to have proof because now we have video recordings of that. Prior to having video recordings and photographs, how did people document anything? They wrote it down.
Stuff could be
Okay, just like you can take a picture or you can take a video from a certain angle and it only tells part of the story.
Especially with the Bible, you said 42 people. So stuff could be lost.
But it's 42 people writing something that all coincides with each other. The odds of something like that happening are astronomical.
odds of 42 separate people over a time span of, I think it's like 1,800 years or something like that. I don't know the exact time frame, but 42 different people writing that many books over a time period of hundreds of years, where a lot of these people never even met each other. The odds of something like that happening and then it telling a cohesive story that all connects and interconnects to each other, and certain prophecies come up and then are answered later on, and all of those things being written by that many people over that time period is bordering impossible. Now, if it was written by one person, that would make sense, because that one person has all of the different plot points in their head that they could line up eventually. But that's not the case here.
Here's what I'm gonna give you pushback. I'm not saying that it's, but if you tell 1,000 people,
Don't believe it.
huh?
You're not saying it's a lie, you're just saying you don't believe it.
Yeah, I'm going off what you were just saying, because you said 40 people said it, but if you tell 1,000 people, they're all gonna think that this is the truth, and they're all gonna write this. Yes, it couldn't be 42 people who wrote
But
it.
that in and of itself is not true. You can have an event happen in front of 10 different people, and you'll get 10 different explanations of the event, because people look at something through their own perspective. So, how can you have that many different people over that time period writing a cohesive message when it's not being put towards any of their own inflection? What that speaks to is what I said earlier, is if it had one author, then that makes sense. Well, that's what the Bible is supposed to be. It is supposed to be that there is one author, but there was 42 different writers. So God, being the author of the Bible, he just spoke through all of those different people.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's just tough because
I agree with you on that point. It is tough because here's the thing: human nature is defined most of the time, not necessarily out of malice, but it is defined to be selfish. It is defined to be, how does this affect me? And a lot of people cannot comprehend necessarily a lot of the teachings in the Bible because they want to try to force God to be a being like that. They want God to essentially be a person. So that way they can understand it, they can see where it's coming from, they can have the proof that they want. But a lot of what being a Christian is taking things, like you were saying earlier, on faith. You spoke of that as though it's a negative, but in reality, that's one of the strengths of being a Christian. Allowing yourself to have faith, the opportunity, like, enjoy. Because what you're doing is your faith is allowing you to take yourself out of the issue. And to what you were talking about earlier about, like, God having a plan and this grand design and all this other stuff. It's like, well, yeah, there is a plan, and God does use everything in life for his glory. I think my myself, I'm a testament to that. So different things in my life that I've either been told I wasn't able to do, or I shouldn't even try, or that was impossible. I've accomplished things through me focusing on the fact that I knew that I was not the one that was making any of this stuff happen.
But it had nothing to do with you. You didn't get up and do it. Controlling your body.
Just like sitting around saying, God will take care of me. That isn't true faith. True faith is being presented with something, and then when God presents you with the opportunity, you follow through. Like the circumstances with my job, or initially when I became a police officer. Like I came down from Pennsylvania, I had no experience, I had no degree, I had no anything other than the fact that I knew I wanted to be a police officer. So I started going through, I started trying to figure out, okay, how do I get in to the police academy? So I started going and I started doing the work to be able to get through all this stuff. Well, I was coming in towards the tail end of the enrollment period. And I was told I was going to have to wait like another 6 months to a year. But then, because I had everything done, it was something I was praying about, and I was able to get, like I was told, is like, hey, we had a last minute like opening, and we're going to put you in the current class. So I was able to start right away. So then I graduate the police academy, and immediately out of the police academy, like the day after I graduated, I ended up having to drive across the state to go for a job interview. So I was able to land a job interview immediately. Well, I thought the job interview went great. I started going through the hiring process, and then all of a sudden, I just got dropped out of nowhere. Like, God damn, what the hell happened? Never heard anything. Well, fast forward 3 years with me still trying to get hired while working other jobs. And I was literally on my last ditch effort. I had applied to the sheriff's department, but I had applied to be a volunteer. I was like, you know what? At this point, I'll work for free. Just let me be one of the first people that as soon as a job opens up, you hire me. So I started going through the hiring process. I did the interview. I got through the interview. Comes time for the polygraph. I handle the polygraph. Everything goes good. Finishing up my background check. I had the investigator call me. He's like, hey, so I had a circumstance where I've been trying to get a hold of this one agency, the first agency that you put on your application. They haven't gotten back to me yet. I've gotten responses from everybody else, and everything else seems good. I was going to see about waiting, but I don't know if they're even going to get back to me. So you know what? I'm just going to follow through, and I'm going to put you through for the hiring process. I'm like, okay, great job. I was able to get in as a reserve. It's essentially volunteering my time. Well, the guy calls me back 20 minutes later, and he's like, hey, so that agency finally just got back to me. Before I send your file in for everything, mind if I meet you in person? Sure, no problem. So I go in and I meet with him. He starts talking to me. He's like, so I wanted to give you the opportunity to see what's going on here. And he put a piece of paper in front of me and he let me read it. And essentially what it was the city that I had applied to initially, the very first agency. And it was their overview of my application. based on the background check. They, in the letter, strongly discouraged hire for me, saying that essentially I was a drug addict and that I dropped out of school because of marijuana and all this other stuff. And I was in shock. Like, the dude saw my face as I was reading it. But then he started talking to me. He's like, yeah, I mean, sometimes these kind of circumstances come up. And I wanted to get your visceral, like, natural reaction. Because something like this can be a little disturbing. And it's like, I wanted to see how you reacted to it when I put it in front of you. Because that was going to tell me as to whether or not you were lying about it. I honestly believe that you have no idea about this. Flat out, I was like, no. I said, in my interview with them, I told them, yes, I had tried marijuana, but after I had already been done with school, that I ended up being let go from the sports program because I injured my knee, and then I was also dealing with some issues back in my house because during that period of time, something had happened to my sister. So I was under a lot of stress, and school was just too much at that point, so I just walked away from it. And it's like, but they spun in a total bullshit lie of what I had told them in the interview process. And because of that, now I come to find out that anytime an agency reached out to that agency, that was the letter they sent them. It took me 3 years to get hired. So, all of those things, like it literally coming at the end of literally right about to give up hope. Still praying through everything, though. And not only did he come through, but he came through by placing me at the agency that when I initially decided I wanted to be a police officer, at the agency I envisioned myself at. So he literally gave me my first choice. But, to your point, I still did the work while being in faith. Like, you do the work with the faith that God is going to provide for you.
I got you.
God gave me the job that I wanted.
Just happened to fall in line like I did it. What about, let me ask you, what about all the people who don't? Stuff falls in line for them. Who did it for them? No God, even though.
Yeah.
Why? Why, if they don't believe in God?
Because God allows for all things to happen to us. That would be the same thing as being like, well, why does God allow bad things to happen? Well, it is very blatantly stated that God is a jealous God. Does not want us.
Say that again. He doesn't want us what?
He doesn't want us, his creation, to find anything more important than him. But sometimes.
That's kind of hard to believe, because if that was the case, then why are all these, even just children, why is everybody, clout and money is the thing everybody wants to, well, not everybody, a lot of people want it. If that's the case, why would God allow that to even?
Well, because the devil has influence in the world also. The devil's here. The devil's on the planet right now. Not in hell yet. fell to earth. He didn't fall to hell. So the devil is capable of giving things to people that some other people may not understand or believe deserve it, as a way of trying to discourage people from following Christ.
But thing about it is, how that they said the devil is an angel.
He didn't stop, he was cast out.
Cast out. If God has all this power, why not just snatch the power from the devil and just make it? Why does the devil have any power? That's
Well, think about it this way. If you, as a father, do everything for your child, are they going to appreciate it?
I think so.
You may want them to, but if they literally are in a position where they never have to actually do anything for themselves because you just come in and fix everything for them, it'll grow to a point where they're going to expect that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. I thought you meant just being a good.
No. I'm
An
speaking
enabler.
about,
An
because to
enabler.
me, being a good father does not mean doing everything for your child. Being a good father means that you are teaching your child to be a good person, to grow up to be self-sufficient, to make it so that while they're incapable of protecting themselves, you protect them, but you're also teaching them eventually to protect themselves.
Yeah. That's what I thought you were talking about in general. You're just talking about an enabler, like perfect for being.
Said about God, why doesn't God just make everything smooth?
Not make everything perfect, but why would you allow the devil to have power enough over us, the people, the race?
All right.
But he doesn't have power over us. He has influence. Ultimately, everything comes to choice.
That's a power, though. Have influence, just like influencers now in this day and age, they have influence over people. That is a power in itself.
But they don't have the ability to force people to do what they say.
But it's still influence. You're not getting what I'm saying, like.
Influence and power are not the same thing.
They are. Influence is a power. If you have a whole bunch of 12-year-olds that if somebody made a bad video on you about YouTube, you got the all these 12-year-olds, these teens, preteens, whatever, going over there talking shit to them. That's a power, because you have the influence to make that happen. That's a power.
Yes, but it's also the choice of those individuals to go and actually do that.
Absolutely. But that person,
that's the point.
That influencer.
But what you're talking about, power and influence being the fact that power being you're making somebody do something. Which is what we were talking about the other day. I can't make you do anything. I can influence you. I can try to manipulate you. I can try to coax you. I can try to bribe you. But ultimately, whose fault are your choices, your decisions, your actions?
Absolutely. But
that's so the devil has the ability to try to play on our weaknesses, to try to promise us things that we may think we want that ultimately would destroy us. And it's up to us to whether or not make the choice to do it or not. But that's my point.
Influencing us. The voice.
Power to control. And the way that you're stating it is as though it's the power to control.
Yes. And then, yes, of course, it is still on the person that's whatever they're gonna do, but that the person influencing know they have the power to influence them to do something. So that's a power. Like
Okay.
I can't make this thing about it. Like, let's just say Jake Paul. If I go make a video and say, fuck Jake Paul, he's a piece of shit. Everybody go. I don't have no influence. I can't do it. But if Jake Paul does that to me, fucking thousands of people are gonna flood my shit. You're a piece of shit because he has the influence. That's a power.
And those people are choosing to do that.
Yeah. That it's well, I'm not taking nothing away from them making that decision, but I'm saying that person, if that, this is what I'm saying, if that person never said that, that will never happen. Doesn't matter the choices that the
Oh, some people would come after you even if he didn't say anything back to you. Some people would take it upon themselves to try to protect another person who's being attacked even without that person asking them to.
Exactly, because they have influence.
But choice.
Yeah.
How is it?
I'm not.
So, hold on. Here's a scenario. Right now, you go and you make a video to go and attack Jake Paul's character.
Mm-hmm.
People see that video. It gets back to Jake Paul. Jake Paul's like, you know what, whatever. He doesn't say or do anything about it. Mm-hmm. He doesn't go to anybody. He doesn't say anything. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have people to go and like start coming after you. But then you will have some people who will get offended for Jake Paul, who take it upon themselves, even without him saying anything, to come after you.
Yes, because he
because
has
they
influence.
chose to.
Yeah, because they chose to, but they chose to because they follow him, just like people follow the devil, maybe not even follow, but because he has influence. That's a power. If nobody knew Jake Paul, it wouldn't happen. Nobody would care. Nobody would say nothing to me. It's because he has influence. That's why the people are going to do that. I'm not faulting the people. Yes, they make their own decisions. They're going to do what they want. Because they follow this influencer.
I fault specifically the people.
Huh?
I said I fault specifically the people. I think it's more the people's fault than anything else because it's their responsibility as individuals to not just blindly follow somebody. Maybe you made that video because he came over and he started trash talking you and started insulting your entire family, so you had a legitimate reason to put him on blast. Some people will not care about the facts and will just come after you specifically because, like you said, they're trying to impress or they're trying to appease a certain person. But ultimately, it's their choice. It's their fault. I blame the people more than anything else.
Why would God allow that? Because you said God is. What did you say?
God gives freedom of choice. Because forcing someone to believe in Him, not believing.
But you said
what
God.
He wants our love to Him to be voluntary. He wants it to be our choice. He wants it to be us making the decision to follow Him. He doesn't want it to be a dictatorship. He wants a relationship with us. He wants it to be where if we're having a hard day, we just reach out to Him and speak to Him the same way a child would their father. Be like, Dad, you know, I had a hard day at school today. I had some people that were coming and they were like trying to cut me in line, and I told them no, but they decided to come and try to do it anyways, and I ended up in trouble because I stopped them from trying to bully me. It's just that God wants with us. He wants us to come to Him so that He can bless us.
But at this, in the same breath, I can't remember the exact word.
No, what I said is He's jealous, meaning He doesn't want us to go and choose to follow something other than Him. But that in and of itself means that we have the choice to do so. If He was just going to be a dictator about it, He could make it so that it's not possible for us to do any of that. It's not possible for us to put others before Him. He doesn't want us to do it, but he still gives us the ability and the choice to do so.
Yes!
Following somebody by choice
Mm-hmm.
is much more powerful and meaningful than following somebody by force.
Yeah.
And that's what he wants. He wants us to do it because we choose to do it. Well, you wanted to talk about religion.
Yeah, of course. I like the conversation. Oh wow! Shut up! Factual evidence that, and I'm not saying he doesn't, because I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. I'm not saying God doesn't exist. But I like dealing with that. I really
don't believe in any ancient history.
Not really. That's why I went back to the Hitler thing. Like, it's tough.
Documentation and other things. It's just not photo or video documentation. Because again, the written word used to be documentation. Because that's all we had. Saying, oh, show me the medical records. Well, they didn't have medical records back then. How is it convenient? It's convenient for you to want something to be proven based on a modern... Huh?
I said I'm fucking with you, I know. But it's just, I don't know, it's tough. I believe it. We didn't just get here out of anywhere.
Now let me give you some pushback. How can you sit there and say to me you believe in a higher power without 100% proof? There's no documentation of it. There's no video.
Yeah,
there isn't. No photos.
That's what I was getting into just now. No way we just popped up out of nowhere. There had to be someone above us.
Okay. But how do you know that?
I don't. That's just what I'm thinking. I know we just didn't pop up like we just...
Than just thinking. You said that's what you believe.
Yeah.
Okay, so how is it
I'm going off of faith. Yeah, I guess I'm going off of faith.
You believe in the fact that there is a higher power just because you can't explain away the entirety of civilization and existence, but then sit there and turn around and have actual documentation of Christ walking the earth, being crucified, and then raising again. But say, oh, you don't believe that.
That's not actual documentation. Words.
It's more documentation. It's more proof than your belief of a higher power.
It's just words, though. People write books every day.
Don't even have
that don't mean it's true. I know, but it's still.
See, how do you do that? How do you?
I guess I'm hypocritical.
To yourself. How do you reconcile having a belief that you can't even, based on your own definition of what should be proof, believe in it, but then something that has a higher level of documentation, you're like, oh, I don't believe that. I don't know. I wasn't there. No, like you said, that's convenient.
Not convenient. It's just word. Words written in a book.
Okay, it's several books, and it's more so than just the Bible. Christ was actually referenced in the Quran too, and he was referenced as the Son of God in the Quran.
Oh yeah, I was about to ask that. So what do you think about other religions? I believe in their religions. What do you think about other religions?
I think that those are all things that were created to distract and take away from being a Christian. The Catholic Church actually came up with being a Muslim. One of the only religions that's actually older than Christianity is Judaism.
Thursday, come on, bro. I'm looking at my schedule. We went back to 8 o'clock, so... Well, not now, today. Oh, brother, why do you... I wanted fucking 3 days off. Go ahead. Ah! Go ahead.
You don't have to yell at me.
Sorry. Okay?
Yeah. I might... I see.
But, yeah, let's go back to top. I was just looking at my phone. So now we're gonna get into some even. So you're thinking all the other religions are just pull away from Christianity, so you don't I don't want to say you don't believe in the other religions.
I don't believe them to be angels.
There we go. Now we getting some territory now with you. I'm already out in the deep water. Let's get deep territory. So you don't believe in that? I didn't hear you. You gotta come through clear on the mic.
No, I don't believe in the other religions. I'm a Christian. I can't be a Christian and believe in the other religions.
Why not?
Because one of the 10 commandments, don't put any other gods before me.
But you're not putting their God before you.
Before God.
Their God.
You can't put any other gods before my God.
Yeah, but you're not putting their God before you.
I don't understand the question.
You don't believe in their God, so you can't put their God before your God.
I believe in what they believe to be gods as God.
So you don't believe in Allah?
No.
I thought Allah was God. Allah, I don't see. Let's not even talk about that because neither one of us are Muslim. So you don't have I had no bad blood against the other.
I'm not prejudiced towards them if that's what you're asking.
And
I just don't acknowledge their religion as being on the level of my religion. I looked into, and there was a podcast that I was listening to, or actually I think it was like an older interview. There was an atheist who started becoming very curious about religion because he started having some very spiritual experiences. Logically, he could not rectify in his head. So he started going through every religion. And in every other religion, Buddhism, Hinduism, Muslim, all of them acknowledge that Christ is one of the ways to get to heaven. They're just like, oh, but we have a way too. He is a way. Like in Buddhism, Jesus was considered to be one of the reincarnations of Buddha, which is their God.
I was just doing something.
I figured you were using your fingers and about to use your toes, so.
Shut the hell up.
So this guy was like, when I'm looking to figure out which religion is the religion, and we have everybody pointing to the fact that Jesus Christ is one of the ways to get to heaven. In the Bible, Christ says, I'm the only way. I am the way. No one comes before the Father except through me. Why would you not just go with the sure thing?
Everybody's going to hell.
No, not everybody. How could everybody be going to hell?
How can we get to heaven if we got to go through Christ? He's not here anymore.
You have to accept him as Lord and Savior, accept the fact that he died on the cross for you. And
I didn't hear that last part.
Truly believe the fact that he died on the cross for our sins.
I'm going to hell.
And then based on that, that is how our salvation is earned. It's not actually it's given. That's how our salvation is given, because you actually cannot earn salvation.
So I'm going to hell.
If that's not what your belief system is, yes.
Got that on first set. I'm going. Got him. We got. Yeah, I like this conversation. Let me take a piss real quick. Don't forget whatever you're about to say or whatever's cooking up in your mind.
Nothing cooking, bro. Everything that's coming out of me is coming from the Word.
Pause! Pause. I don't want to see nothing coming out of you, okay? At all. At all.
Yeah, keep your eggplant emoji to yourself.
Oh my... You have no proof.
I took a screenshot.
Oh, brother! Religion! Is it ever good? Religion good?
I don't know. I don't follow religion.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Is... It's faith. Or faith. I don't know how to word it. Cause okay, fuck it. I'm going hard in the paint. Is Christianity good?
If by definition you are a Christ follower, then yes.
Tell me, I feel like it switches up. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe I correlate with. Tell me all the things you have to do to be a good Christian.
You know, you have to do to be a good Christian.
Like, don't you have like requisites? Like, you can't do this, you can't do.
There isn't it. By wanting to be a Christ follower, by truly understanding and loving Christ as your Lord and Savior, as the one who gave you the gift of salvation by his own sacrifice. That in and of itself, because of your desire to want to be like Christ as much as possible, that is what makes you a good person. Because you're not going to sit there and respect somebody, but then do the opposite of what their life represents.
Let me ask you this. You was a Christian your whole life?
No. No, I didn't. What were you about to ask?
You had sex before marriage.
No, I know. Technically, that's a sin.
Mm-hmm. But you wasn't Christian your whole life, so. Okay, yeah. Tell me how that works. Okay, so you wasn't a Christian your whole life. So does that sin not count because you wasn't a Christian at that time?
What do you mean by count?
I mean, it's still a sin, right? Did you not sin?
Okay.
So does it not count because you wasn't Christian at the time?
Count towards what?
You sinning.
I don't know what that. What do you mean? How can you sinning not count as you sinning? Like that.
So you're saying you did sin?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
I still sin. I still have like.
Because nobody's perfect. Obviously.
Like if somebody cuts me off in traffic, I still sometimes think about running them off the road. That's a sin.
Just thinking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. But then you catch yourself and you're like, okay, I apologize for that. Lord, forgive me. I don't want to have those kind of thoughts.
So let me ask you this. What... With a sin, what is the constitution of sin that is just too much where you can't be forgiven? Or can you be forgiven for anything?
Yeah. In relation to salvation, absolutely.
That you kill 10 people.
Yeah, see, here's the thing. There was a thief on the cross, committed all kinds of crimes, all kinds of sins, who then turned around and repented literally as he was dying on the cross next to Jesus. Lord, that when you're in paradise, please remember me. In that moment, he was not a Christian his entire life. He was not even necessarily a good person. But he understood who Christ was repentant of his and turned around and was saved literally as he was dying. Let's see here. Yeah. It's not like a contract you can try to finagle and find loopholes. Because your heart. God knows your thoughts. It's not like something you're just going on a talk show and be, oh my God, I am so sorry for this. But then turning around and in private continuing to do the exact same thing. The point is you are not judged based on your past sin. You are judged based on the content of your heart. According to the new covenant that was made when Christ was, it was the same thing that happened from him even being in existence. According to the Old Testament, the law, living under the law, we all obviously sinned because we're fallen creatures. But for us to even be able to be from the presence of God, like going to the temple and worshiping or any of that stuff, we first used to have to sacrifice a pure animal. And then the blood of that animal was considered to be what took on the sin.
Why would God want you to harm another being?
What?
Why would God want you to harm another being?
why would he allow us to eat animals?
Exactly.
Like that's the vegan argument. Like
Definitely not
animals
vegan.
put on this earth for the purpose of us to have dominion over. Like, if you want to go that route, even vegetarians and vegans, it's like plants are living organisms.
Shit. Yeah.
So if that's the case, what the hell are we supposed to eat?
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck with that.
But yeah, it's just, I feel like it's just so many contradictory. Oh. Where did he come from? It wasn't even visible.
I'm asking you, like, what's the contradiction you're talking about?
It's just like if God wants us. Yeah, he doesn't want us to be perfect. Alright, nah, it makes sense. He doesn't want us to be perfect. You got work today. Oh yeah, I seen it. You moved it back to your phone?
Yeah. What you see?
Yeah, but I'm doing a podcast. I'm a podcaster now.
You see, you are.
I guess I'm doing a podcast. Gatorade's in there, don't forget. Yeah, because I gotta get 4 stuns in 1 match. Oh, since Leon. The perk. You have to get to a certain and you can go in the locker and make a flash grenade. You don't play D&D. Oh yeah, I'm just using flash. Got to 2. 1 match, 2. 4 stuns.
Better way to do it is black.
Is what?
Black mind.
I did. That's the actual way I got the stuns. I never got it with the flash. The thing about it is, all these killers, like, they hardly even care about the fucking. This killer is the. What's the invisible killer name? DrOoLeR? Crazy. What time is it? So we'll go to 3. I feel like you still got a lot to talk. At 3, we're gonna watch the show. red go. Regularly scheduled program. Oh, shut the
Yeah, dogs are intense.
Okay. What was you last talking about, Kate? Oh yeah, I was. Yes, God doesn't want it to be. Oh. But yeah, God doesn't want it to be perfect. I get it. Well, I guess it's. Crazy that all the atrocious things.
Yeah.
So, are you saying that God, like a project to him, he's gonna see what happens, and when it gets to the point where start it all over again?
I don't know about start it all over, but it is supposed to be where there is going to be a new earth in paradise. Like, he's going to bring everybody who is following Christ, and everybody else gets cast into a fiery pit. Yeah. It is. You're not wrong.
But the thing about it is, like, do you think, well, obviously besides Christians and people that's in religion, religious people, do you think the people that aren't religious, do you think they really care what happens?
It's. I don't know. I can't speak for other people.
Yeah, you can't speak for other people. Found it. Oh! Hold on. The Wraith can close the hatch invisible?
I guess.
I've never seen that. He's the biggest troll ever. I thought she was out there. She found the hatch and the hatch closed out of nowhere. Because he was invisible next to it. I didn't know he could do anything while he's invisible.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
He closed it while he was invisible.
But I think, though, you can kick generators while you're invisible.
I don't think so. I don't think you can do anything. Oh, from what I knew before with the Wraith, you couldn't do anything while he's invisible.
Right.
But, so, you truly believe there's an afterlife?
Absolutely.
Why? What besides the what makes you think? But you can't. What makes you think there's absolutely an after we're done on this earth?
Well, my point to what you were saying, even towards your belief about how life is and how everything was created, I believe believe that if we come out of nothing and just go back to nothing, what would be the point?
That's where we begun.
Really? I thought you a higher power.
No, he made us, but he made us from nothing.
Right,
Here.
but it was said that he made us in his likeness.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. I'm just saying in general, like he just here now came from nothing.
But we did nothing, and that's the.
But
funny
no,
thing.
I thought we came from a rib.
Huh?
I thought we came from a rib. No, that was Eve. But yeah, I got what you're saying. Getting tired, bro?
Hmm?
You getting tired? Done talking about this?
Huh?
I said you're done talking about this?
I mean, I'm good to talk. I'm just tired in general. Like, I didn't sleep well last night.
I'm
My
kinda
wife-
tired
I
too.
Well, she's been in a lot of pain, so she'll toss and turn, and then I woke up, and then I had this, like, really weird pain in my diaphragm this morning at, like, 3 o'clock, and I couldn't breathe. Like, I was having trouble, like, falling back to sleep because it's like I couldn't get comfortable because I felt like somebody's hand was literally in my chest holding my diaphragm.
Good now though? With the breathing wise
Yeah, well, I mean, it's based on what we're speaking of. My wife turned over, she held me. I could feel that she was praying over me, and then the feeling just went away, and I was able to go back to sleep.
I know you're tired. Your wife is Christian too?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it like but yeah. I believe this can't just be us.
Prove it!
And I'm not talking about aliens.
Prove it!
It's definitely a high. The Bible too much, I'm not. I'd say there's no. I think maybe per se they embellished a lot Bible, but
Also,
like you said, he was man-made.
Incarnation, God.
Yeah. That would make sense. It.
What you can call it miraculous.
Miraculous. Miracles he made. Don't get me wrong, like, well, especially when I was, I think it's Catholic. No, Lutheran. Epiphany Lutheran. That's what they were, Lutheran. What's Lutheran? Like, I don't know.
The first division from the Catholic Church.
And Catholic is its own thing too, like Christian Catholic. Whatever you want to call it.
The way that I characterize Catholicism is Christianity with way more rules.
Catholicism?
Requisite. Like, there's all these things that you have to do, like having to go to confession to be able to confess your sins.
What's that? What are you talking about right now?
Catholicism.
What's Catholicism?
A Catholic.
Oh, okay. So what's Lutheran? Same thing?
Lutheran is just, they classify it as Catholic light.
Okay.
So it's like Catholicism, but with minus the guilt.
Guilt?
Yeah, because Catholics play on guilt a lot, which is a way of manipulation, which is why I don't believe that Catholicism is from God, because God doesn't focus on guilt. The devil does. The devil is called the accuser. It's stated that the devil knows your name but calls you by your sin. Christ knows your sin but calls you by your name. So the devil is constantly trying to make you feel like you're not good enough, constantly trying to remind you of your mistakes, constantly trying to remind you that you're a sinner, that you're not worthy, so that you forget and you don't remember that your salvation isn't based on whether you're worthy or not. Nobody's worthy. That's the whole point. Salvation was given by grace. Grace means it's a gift that you didn't deserve.
Jesus is worthy.
He was the only one, but again, he was the physical embodiment of God.
Gotcha.
On it.
I don't know. You have Disney Plus, right? We're gonna get back into it though, but because that's the movie, not the show that I'm gonna watch. You ever heard of Orville? With the guy who made American Dad. Seth MacFarlane, I think his name is.
I love how you say it literally right after I say it.
Oh, you said it? I didn't even hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, we can go back to the top. Watch the show. It's funny. It's like a parody of Star Trek.
I heard about it.
Oh, okay.
It's live action.
We can go back on. Oh, excuse me. What more is there to say? X.
Tell me.
I just think I think religion in general, not just Christianity, Muslim, Catholic, Lutheran, whatever. I think it's a way to control the mindset of people. In general, any religion, any background.
Dogs are crazy.
I know. Oh, brother. Right on time with the game and they fucking great. Oh yeah, yeah. It's cultish. I'll say that. It's like cultish. Huh?
actually agree with you. That's why I don't believe in religion.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Because you said you believe in
I believe in Jesus.
Jesus. Well, God too, obviously. Well, God too, obviously.
Same thing.
Yeah. We're on the same page then. For the most part. For that part, anyway.
I feel like religion is a weapon to try to make God small. To try to put him on the same plane, thought process, and the same restriction as humans have.
Excuse me. Which basically what you're trying to say I'm trying to do. So since I can't see him, I don't believe him. Ah, it's so tricky. Because I do. I don't know. I do believe in. Keep saying that.
Sounds like a cop out to me.
Maybe a little bit.
Like that's your way of saying, like, I don't think that this is a thing, but in the event that I'm wrong, hey, I said I believe in a higher power. I didn't say there is no God. That's what I feel like you're doing.
Subconsciously and consciously. I don't know, man. It's just crazy because I can have the conversation with my niece. They're both atheists. My niece, though, that could have came from my father. It could have came from my father. He's atheist. Sister, though, I don't know where she got that from. And I have the conversation with my sister. I have the conversation with my niece.
Last one.
Yeah.
I don't believe in God. Well, why?
No.
Well, then you can leave it there and you can understand that she just doesn't have the information to be able to present to you to explain why she feels the way she feels. Which probably means that she was fed what she thinks, and that is somebody else's words, not hers. That's usually what happens. If somebody has a belief in something, but they can't defend that belief and they can't justify it, they don't understand it, that means it's not actually their belief. They're just parroting something that someone else said.
And I'll give you that. That's why I just said that. She might have got that father because her father's atheist. That's probably what came
I
in
understand.
line.
That's
Yeah.
my point.
Yeah.
And if anything, that just helps you in the conversation because then you don't have to try to nail her down to a answer because you understand the fact that she doesn't have an answer because it wasn't her thought to begin with. That's almost like saying, what political party do you belong to? Well, I mean, I don't know. Well, what political party is your parents? Oh, well, they're Democrats. Oh, well, I guess I'm a Democrat then. Why Democrat? Oh, I don't know. My parents are Democrats.
You knowing me all these years, what political party would you put me in? Because I don't know nothing about. What
I
would
would, you would probably be an independent because you have a lot of, you actually have a lot of Republican views.
is that a bad thing? What's the good party?
Depends on who you ask.
Yeah. What's the good party
I'm
to
a
you?
I'm a Republican.
Oh, okay. So that would be the good. And what's the left and the right thing?
Right wing would be Republicans. Left wing would be the liberals or Democrats.
We're right.
Correct.
What does that entail? Like, what makes you a
I'm more conservative on a lot of different issues. I believe in gun rights, that we have the right to have guns. I believe in pro-life. I don't believe in abortion.
Yeah, I guess I am Republican.
I believe in the fact that the government should not have a say in our personal lives or the lives of any kind of business that we have, which Republicans are usually very hands-off when it comes to taxation and regulations for businesses and stuff like that. They don't necessarily pander towards or believe in government assistance like food stamps. They understand the necessity for them, but they don't think that it should be something. Like, to me, what I feel like the Republican view on food stamps is that food stamps is supposed to be a supplement to help you get back on your feet. It shouldn't be a lifelong thing that you're on. Because we're supposed to want to do better in life as we progress through life. And anybody that is just consistently and constantly on food stamps, that means that they have done nothing to better their life the entire time, because they still qualify for it.
I know a couple people on food stamps, so I'm not. Yeah, I never thought about that. And it makes sense. What was Obama? Was he
Democrat?
So it was Trump that was Republican.
Well, it's funny because Trump wasn't really anything. Trump was going to run on his own, but Trump ended up, to make sure that he got into office, ended up aligning himself with a lot more Republican viewpoints. So qualified to get into the Republican nomination, because essentially we're a mass two-party country. So there have been other people that have tried to come in and run under other parties or as an independent ballot. But party association and affiliation generally carries. So he came in intelligently, he came in on the Republican side of things and got the Republican vote. But then came into office and then pissed everybody off because he actually was doing things that were good for the country as a whole, and he wasn't playing the party game. Like an old saying with like a picture of a Native American is like, I don't know what you mean by right wing and left wing. They're both part of the same herd.
Yeah. What the? We can start winding out this game. I'm gonna stop the podcast. I think it went well. No?
I do. We're talking, we're still friends, so obviously we didn't piss each other off too much.
I think it was gonna piss each other off. Well, maybe I thought maybe some of the things I said might have pissed you. Wait, not in like fucking like like some of the stuff.
Something came up that I didn't necessarily agree with. What did I do? I just asked you a question.
Yeah.
And
I didn't think it was
realistically, you didn't have anything nailed down other than the fact it's like, well, I don't believe that. It's like,
Yeah, because, like I said, I deal in facts. If I don't have no facts to back anything I said up, I'm just go with what I think, not what I actually. Yeah, I didn't have no facts to say to you about any of this shit because I don't know. Arguing at it.
I think if it comes to a point where it's an argument instead of a discussion, then we're not hearing the other person.
But now what?
We're not actually hearing what the other person has to say, and then we don't learn anything.
Yeah. Learned a lot.
I'm glad.
Okay.
Glad. Still late.
Other. Fixes dinner. Bet you got barbecue. Oh my. Maybe we could do a lighter topic now. We're gonna talk about now for the couple of minutes we got.
Oh yeah, bro. I'm coming up with the topics and most of the conversations, so go ahead.
Talk about monogamy.
And how you don't believe in it?
Cause that plays back into your religion. That plays back into your belief. Nickel pricks.
Are correct.
Do you think it is it's normal for life?
Okay, so what is normal?
Like,
Because if you would ask me that question 50 years ago, the answer would be different than what it would be today.
50 years ago?
Uh-huh.
Wasn't alive 50 years.
What?
Dad's ball sack.
What?
You wasn't alive 50 years ago.
I understand that, but I'm saying...
So
if
how
that
would I
question
ask you the
were
question
asked
50 years
50
ago?
You would get a different answer than asking it today. Did people not get married 50 years ago?
Yes, but you wasn't alive 50 years ago.
Relevant. Okay, but I'm saying what we view as quote-unquote normal is dependent on our belief system, the belief system of society, what is culturally normal, what's acceptable, like all those things. Like everything comes down to the era that you're in.
Okay, what would change it 50 years ago, next?
Um,
What would change it if it was 50 years ago? Your answer. What would change your answer?
My answer is the same regardless, but I'm saying, what, based on your question of, is it normal? I'm saying normal is dictated based on the time period and the social structure of the groups that you live around. To go back to the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Not so much the 70s. The 70s were more so when it started to come unraveled, but those other time periods, like, yeah, you got married, you stayed married with one person for the entirety of your life. And for the most part, you were only ever with that person. A lot of people were getting married as they were coming back or as they were going off to war, and rafts and stuff like that, that was happening at a young age. And then you have people that were married 50, 60 years, 70 years, high school sweethearts, like all of that stuff, because you didn't have access to computers. Telephones weren't like widely available. Like the kind of TV programming, the kind of music that you listen to, all of those things were very conservative back then. Based on the time period back then, it's like, yeah, it's like being with one person for your entire life was not just normal, but it was expected.
Yeah. Yeah. So what changed now?
Well, the feminist movement, like having parties in a household working, so cost of living going up, the accessibility to things like pornography and things of like prostitution's always been around, but now it's like, oh, you just go on the fucking phone, go on the internet, and you can find somebody to hook up with in your area, and it's like everything was made so convenient that was of the world and of like being able to have these options. You have things like social media where you're literally posting about your life on the internet, showing off body, your everything. Like all of these different things have contributed.
OnlyFans.
Yeah, contributed to the degradation of our culture. All our culture values have just gone out the window. The fact that it's been made so widely acceptable for divorce now, and it's like all of those, like you like if you got divorced back in the 50s, like you were an outcast.
That was
That was
bad.
unheard of. Like nobody got like the divorce rate back in the 50s was like what, between 2 to 5%.
What is it now?
Over 50. It's like right around 50%.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So 2 more minutes on the. Yeah, everything is super accessible now. All these dating apps. Internet's crazy now. It's too easy. Well, not too easy. I'm not gonna say it's too easy.
Women are more interested in attention than they are in a relationship.
I'm not gonna just say women. Everybody wants out now.
Huh? But what are one of the things that leads to divorce directly correlates is how many partners that you have prior to marriage.
Yeah.
So the more sexual partners you have, the more likely to get divorced because you're not able to effectively pair bond with the person, because that's one of the like main focuses of.
Yeah, but I feel like if they told you before the marriage, what should it matter in the marriage? You already know beforehand.
What do you mean?
If they tell you how many bodies they have before the marriage, why would that? Of course, you already know. It's not like they told you in the marriage. They told you before the marriage. It shouldn't have no change. Like, okay, I already know how many bodies. Bodies.
Not the point that I'm making. The point that I'm making is the higher the number, specifically in women, likely they are to want to get divorced, because they have more people that they're comparing intercourse with is a huge part of a relationship. So it's like the less people you have to compare, the more likely you are to be attracted to one person for longer because you haven't had as many options.
Oh, guys.
Whereas if a woman comes in and it expresses promiscuous behavior because she's a part of hookup culture, she's okay with going out and having one-night stands and all of that stuff, psychologically, she's setting herself up to be like, oh, you know what? Stuff isn't going exactly how I want it to in this relationship, so I'm out. Somebody who has less sexual partners is more likely, because they have an emotional connection, because they've pair bonded through sex with the person they're with, they're more likely to stick it out in rough times than somebody who has had more sex.
But it was good talk. Gonna wrap this podcast up. It was a good religion. We even got politics and monogamy.
Like the trifecta of topics
Yeah.
we don't talk about.
Yeah, shit that we should not be talking about. Shout out to DrOoLeR11. That's his gamer tag. If you're on Twitch, hit the follow button if you haven't already. Watch it on YouTube, subscribe button. Like, comment, and share. We're out. Peace.